Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Shinji-san. And thank you also to METI and ERIA for giving this opportunity to speak today. I'm Yukimi Shimura from MUFG Bank. Now, before answering to your questions, Shinji-san, please allow me to briefly explain what MUFG Bank has been doing over issue of climate change and carbon neutrality. Next slide, please. MUFG Bank has recently made an announcement to become carbon neutral in terms of our operation by 2030 and in terms of our finance portfolio by 2050. We're the first Japanese bank to make such a commitment, and in order to be transparent and accountable, we are currently preparing ourselves to join a global initiative called Net Zero Banking Alliance. Next slide, please. Now, to achieve carbon neutrality in our finance portfolio, it is essential to engage with our clients and assist them or work together with them towards decarbonization. Sustainable Business Office, where I belong to, is a center hub within MUFG Bank to bring all MUFG's capabilities, both domestically and globally, to find solutions for clients to navigate through this very challenging time. Next slide, please. Needless to say, the world needs new technologies and unconventional solutions like CCUS to achieve net zero. We want to support innovation by accompanying our clients from very early stages, such as R&Ds and feasibility studies. We find it quite important to be involved from the very beginning to contribute to find solutions to make projects bankable and have a smooth transition to commercialization. You can see some of our focused areas of activities at the bottom of the right-hand side of the page. We believe CCUS may be one of the critical pieces of solution to achieve carbon neutrality. Now, let me come back to your question, Shinji-san. I have been working with CCUS on and off over 10 years now and have had the opportunity to talk both public and private sectors on CCUS. You asked whether carbon neutrality pledges by governments and companies give big push towards financing in Asia. My simple answer is no for an immediate investment. And I think this is something that the other panelists from previous sessions also mentioned, that simply it's we need laws and regulations and clarifications on these issues. Now, but if you ask whether those pledges give push towards participating or implementing demonstration projects, the answer is yes. Now, the government officials that I have spoken to, with some exceptions maybe, they vastly want to see one, a demonstration project to be implemented, and two, with sufficient international collaboration and financial assistance to implement this demonstration project. Three, very important, have public acceptance ensured through the demonstration projects. And four, emission reduction achieved by CCUS project will be counted into contributing to meet their NDCs or countries' commitment to the Paris Agreement. On the other hand, the project developers wants to see, first and foremost, some form of commitment, but commitment supported by policies with possibly budget or human resources allocated to promote the CCUS activities. And two, with a rough indicative timeline or simply by when those commitments will be realized. And three, which is, and the last but not least, enabling business environment to deploy CCUS projects with sufficient financial assistance and incentive schemes to make the project bankable. Now, you see already that there is a significant gap between what the public and the private sectors wants to see happening in the next few years. You asked what is needed to push CCUS deployment in Asia. Let me talk from the financier's point of view. As much as we like to assist our clients working on CCUS project in Asia, there's simply too many unclear risks involved. We have been accumulating our understandings and knowledge of risks involved with CCUS, mainly through projects in Australia, North America, and Europe. However, all these countries or regions have well-established legal and regulatory frameworks, incentive schemes, and even a business model dedicated for CCUS, which is something that's been shared by other panelists or the previous sessions. In the case of Asia, these are still big blank space for us to fill in. Now, many believe, including myself, we can dwell upon the existing laws and regulations for oil and gas industries and environmental issues. However, if we start looking at actual details, like who will give what permissions, what kind of incentive schemes, what kind of additional procedure required, for instance, for the environmental impact assessment, we cannot get clear answers in most of the cases. Without knowing actual risks and risk profile, it is quite difficult to consider possible solutions for even de-risking to make the CCUS project bankable. Risk is not the only issue. All the panelists throughout the forum mentioned about the carbon credits. Yes, to make the project bankable, we also need the workable business model for Asia. Carbon credits may be one possible revenue stream, but then as Mr. Nemoto of JBIC mentions, there's always a price volatilities and market unreliabilities. We can actually come up with a solution, but we need to discuss this with the governments and all the market players and everyone to find solution together on this specific issue when we're developing or talking about the business model. The business model goes hand in hand together with incentive schemes. And I guess the Mr. Fletcher of from the government of Australia mentioned first maybe grants or some form of assistance from the government for the capex to cover the capex or the infrastructure, and have the additional incentive schemes for the to cover the OPEX. Now, I believe that the Asia CCUS network will be an excellent place to have a common understanding on CCUS among all stakeholders and work together towards deployment. But first, we need to have a common understanding, and two, we need to start developing on laws and regulations and business model. Those are the very simple messages and from what I understood from my previous experiences. Over to you, Shinji-san.